Hello, how's it going, everybody? Rezi Orenji, your music-loving orange cat boy, back at it once again. Hello, Revan Windhaven. How are you doing today? Welcome, everybody, to the stream. I've had a pretty decent week leading up to this. Hard at work still on the glam metal video. Hopefully that'll be out within the next 2 weeks or so. I don't want to make any hard commitments because I seem to always, jinx it with my energy whenever I make anything too hard. But, within 2 weeks, I think this glam metal video should be, ready to go. I just made it on to 1984, which is my whole cutoff year for the first part, so I'm excited to finally see it through to the end. I'm excited to get it out to you guys. It's gonna be a fucking slobber knocker of a video, hopefully. But that's I don't wanna oversell this thing. Just look forward to it, y'all. I've been doing that. What else have I been up to musically speaking? I was going to have a gig with, a band of mine in the city, but unfortunately my frontman came down with an acute case of some pain that he had to get a surgery for. I don't know what it is, but he's hopefully doing better now. We had to last minute cancel a gig because of that, and I felt bad for the booker. It never hurts to, it always hurts to, leave them hanging so soon to a gig and have to, scramble to replace and all that. It's it's never fun. But anyways, enough of me rambling. My guest for today is a DJ, an EDM guy, and now I have claimed in the past, especially if you're subscribed to me on my Patreon, you might know that I'm not exactly the foremost expert on EDM or dance music, but I am always open to having my perspectives broadened. I love talking with VTubers, no matter what their music taste may be, if they're idol fans, if they're metalheads, if they're EDM nerds, all the above. And so, would you all please? No, I'm not ready for that. I'm excited today to bring you my guest, ECKZOH. He's I admit, I've only really been getting to know him recently. I've been really curious to, of course, get to know more VTuber musicians, and he seems to be, pretty active right now. Trying to put his name out there with all these electronic tracks. You go on to Spotify, you look him up. He's got quite the extensive discography already. So I am very excited today to talk with such an active creator in the VTuber scene. Would you all please welcome ECKZOH?
Hello.
How's it going, my dude? Welcome to the stream. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
Usually a way I like to sort of open the floor up to my guests. With these streams, everybody sort of has some sort of casual interest in music, but people that I like to have on, they tend to be, more actively musical, I guess, whether they're more passionate about their musical interests or they actually make music themselves. So I guess something I like to, start off with is what sort of sparked your interest for music?
For me, well, I always listened to a lot of music. I remember growing up and burning CDs.
Oh, yo.
Using LimeWire and everything, and just, But for production specifically, it was probably around 2010, 2011. It was right around when Skrillex released his first Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites and everything, and that blew up into a whole thing. But I don't know, for me it was always I just wanted to know how to make sounds like that, because I didn't understand it. It was so I don't know, it just seemed like something I have like never heard before, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I should learn how to do that.
No, electronic music is fascinating to me. I mean, like I've said, I'm not exactly the foremost expert on it, but what I do know about it, of course, I'm a big music history guy. I love, I've loved going back and learning how, the earliest musicians built these like synthesizers to essentially construct sound out of thin air, and it's nuts. What you're able to do if you have like a knowledge of how to work these different plugins, work these different even analog synths. Like, oh my god, analog synths! You look at some of those are nuts.
There's so much you can do, and if you go analog, you can do just a crazy amount of things with even just like one box. If you go digital, there's tens of hundreds of VSTs that all do different things or emulate different things or add certain things. There's a lot you can do. It's
my
really
god,
cool.
yeah. I sort of amateurly make my own music. Well, I say make my own music, but it's more so I do covers from time to time on my channel. And, I try to... I fiddled with VSTs on Reaper and stuff before. I wouldn't say I'm an expert or anything, but it's just like the freedom you get with like being able to... if you know what you're doing, at least, being able to toggle the numbers however you want. The possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, absolutely. I always just thought it was really interesting, and then the more I learned, just doing sound design, I think is just like some of the coolest stuff in the world.
Did you ever go to like school for it or anything?
No. So I'm completely self-taught.
Oh, nice.
So I started, in 2011. I think I played the saxophone for like 1 year in elementary, and then I took a general music class in like 8th grade.
Yeah. See, I was kind of similar, except I was more like that. I was on the violin. My school, they were just like starting off with like their music programs, and so I think I was sort of conscripted into the orchestra.
Gotcha.
That was fun.
No, so I just completely forgot all that. The general music class was just like learn how to play Smoke on the Water on like an acoustic guitar or something.
Oh yeah.
And then I like learned about how to do everything digitally. And that was for me where I was like, oh cool, so you can just do like everything like on your own.
By the way, welcome Jukebox Cowboy. I don't know if I got to your message earlier. Just went down a vinyl rabbit hole this week buying some vaporwave faves on. Oh my god.
I love vaporwave.
Yes, man. If there's like one electronic music genre I'd say that I'm like passionate about, it's probably that, I remember vaporwave. Like when I was in college, Jesus, it's approaching almost a decade now, like having been having been, back then I remember, I guess it was like Saint Pepsi, Young Bay, Macross, 8299, those guys, it's really cool, like getting to hear how they took like those old samples from way back then in the 80s and I guess 70s and 90s too from certain songs and just turned it into something completely original and vibey. I loved it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's such like I feel like it's a very easy genre to like get into.
Yeah.
Due to like how just like smooth it is. It's like it almost sounds like elevator music, but like
yeah.
Not in the sense that it's boring. It's just very easy listening.
No, absolutely. Like, it's very agreeable.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like that would be a red flag. Like, if someone told me they hate vaporwave, I would be like, why? Like, it's it's so easy listening that it's great. I love it.
I mean, I remember like back in the day when, you know, vaporwave was still fresh, still all the bunch of naysayers being like, you know, it's just slow down music. You know what I mean? Like, I get that criticism to an extent, but at the same time, like what you can do with slowing down, stretching out, like making a piece of music like an echo chamber or something like that, like it's insane.
Yeah, and like even if it is literally just a slowed down version of it, then I don't find that to be a criticism, right? Like it's like, I mean, I see it a lot now too. A lot of the artists that I listen to with the new like sort of TikTok algorithm.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's just a single, what they'll do is they'll release the single and then they'll release a slowed down version and a sped up version. So it's actually 3 songs.
That's interesting, you know.
And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing because they all do genuinely sound different.
Yeah, I mean, that is the interesting thing about, you know, what is it, the legacy of vaporwave and like nightcore and those sorts of genres in the early 2010s is now people are a lot more open to, well, what is it, listening to music that's sort of been not really chopped up, screwed or anything like that, but just sort of changed.
Yeah, just like altered
the vibe shift
slightly. Yeah. Because it really can. It can give a completely different vibe. You know, a 4 on the floor house track slowed down is no longer a house track because it's so much slower.
Yeah, it's the audio equivalent of ready-made art. Exactly. Yeah. Like you just take what somebody's, you know, gotten before. You know, you slap a beat under it. You bump up the tempo somewhat, bam, you've got a banger future funk track. Like, oh my god, I remember what is it? Saint Pepsi, just that was probably my favorite vaporwave artist back in the day. The only one that I really like, I don't know. I know, what is it? They wanted to do like Skylar Spence is the name of the guy, right? And he went on to do his own thing, but I don't know. I haven't really bothered following what they've been up to. It seems like vaporwave is sort of receded into, you know, its own, you know, internet obscurity again.
Yeah, but I mean that comes and goes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure like 20 years from now someone's gonna, I don't know, nightcore vaporwave, and that'll be a whole trend or something.
Oh my god, what was that? There was actually something that I saw recently. I don't know if you know the channel This Exists at all, but they did a video recently on, I think it's this, it's like this video collective that popped up during COVID called Video Trash. It was like these sort of filmmakers that gathered over Discord, and they essentially took old movies and chopped up and remixed them with like vaporwave and, you know, made them all retro and vibey. Yeah.
That's super cool.
It's really neat. I love when artists go and take that whole sort of retro aesthetic to things. I mean,
I think
go ahead.
Lot of it. I think a lot of it too has helped with people understanding that like sampling is not just like a cheating way to like make something, because it is like, even if it is just slowing down the tempo, it, you know, it still takes effort and to compile it, and even just like the trying to find songs that haven't been done or work well can take hours.
I mean, I frankly think the whole discussion of like talent when it comes to, you know, comparing electronic music producers to like people who use analog instruments, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Like,
Yeah.
I know, like, I personally, I really do love, a lot more rock music and, the feeling that comes with, making a music with a band and all that.
Sure.
But, like, there definitely is value to, like, being the mad scientist, behind a laptop and,
Yeah.
making sound out of thin air like that. And like
Yeah.
it might not seem like that to people who, look from the side and see just like a guy on a laptop or whatever, but
Right.
it took like hours of work to get that to get everything on that laptop ready for, a banger show.
Yeah. Well, like, and that's like the difference is that you will see like DJs playing out their own songs, and that looks really cool. But the end product of producing is still very much like a nerd thing. It's like one guy like sitting in front of a laptop, and I'm guilty of this too. This is not me talking down on other producers. I do this all the time, and literally just scrolling through hundreds of kicks, just kick drums, just to find one that fits well with the song. Like, it's a very nerdy thing to do.
No, I definitely understand that.
But in that sense also, right, there's, you are the conductor and every single person in the orchestra. So it's not that it's less visually impressive than playing an instrument, I will definitely say, right? Like, if you put someone shredding on a guitar and then someone, designing a dubstep growl,
right,
it doesn't matter what it sounds like. Visually, the guitar looks cooler. But at the end of the day, it's two completely different skill sets. Because I will always I'll be like, oh, anyone who can play an instrument that's so fucking cool. Because I can't do that. I can't do that. I can barely work my way around like a piano roll.
Are there any instruments that you would like to learn if you had the chance?
Nothing. Probably just getting comfortable on a guitar.
Makes sense, yeah.
would be cool. Other than that, just like also getting better at piano and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've completely lost all my skill set that I learned in that 1 year of school on guitar. So
yeah, no,
I would love to be able to pick up a guitar.
Guitar is a very slippery instrument to learn, at least to me. I've tried like 3 different times getting into it, but it's just like the time that you need to spend sitting down and like practicing the fundamentals, at least. It's like, I don't know. I'm far more focused. I'm a drummer, so like I'm far more capable of like focusing in on like rhythm and being able to like nail that down, as opposed to focusing on rhythm and tone at the same time. Like, God bless the people who are able to stick with that and make something of like. I actually had a guest on. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but they said it was like. It's really helpful to start off, learning what you want to learn. And I do get that to a certain extent. That was how I started off as a drummer. But I don't know. At a certain point, there comes a time where you need to be able to better balance, the fundamentals with that sort of stuff you want to learn. And I don't know if I've not been able to do that with guitar in the free time that I currently have.
No, I still struggle my way through programming piano notes. So
oh my god, yeah.
It's oh my god.
I have been listening to more Vocaloid music as of late. Interesting. What do you know?
Vocaloid is so cool.
Yeah, what do you know of Vocaloid? Have you used them at all in your productions?
I have not. So I have a friend, Alex, who knows how to use the actual programs. I believe I also have one that I got from them, where it's the actual Vocaloid with the voice pack. I don't know. To me, that's far more complicated even than learning to play the piano, because you play it like a piano, but all of the notes correspond to like sounds.
Yeah, like vocal syllables and all that.
Yeah, it's like syllables, so you have to form words out of piano notes, and that's a whole different ball game.
That's crazy.
People that do that are so crazy.
Yeah.
I have an immense amount of respect, but it's like from a distance.
yeah. No, it's an insane scene, the Vocaloid community. I can't say that I'm like too familiar with it at all, but I just remember like back in the day, well, even now, like as a VTuber, sort of being the spectator to like this huge music scene, and like how many VTubers are constantly covering these Vocaloid songs, and how these Vocaloid producers are even moving on to fucking working with VTubers directly. It's like,
it's really cool.
Yeah, there's some sort of, I don't know, I feel like there's some sort of tie there between like, at least like creativity in the Vocaloid scene and continued creativity in the VTuber scene.
100%.
I guess yeah.
No, go ahead.
I guess if you have like a Venn diagram of the two, it's like basically almost a perfect circle.
Yeah. So because from my knowledge, I believe also most of the people who do Vocaloids are also the producers for the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you make these great catchy songs, and then it's almost like you're scouting for yourself, because you put out this song where you don't have to worry about a singer's talent, because you're just like playing a piano or making it with a Vocaloid. And then you get to see all these singers sort of present their talent like right in front of you.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, well then I can just produce another song, strip away the Vocaloid lyrics and just have someone else write lyrics, and then you have a complete song.
That's really interesting. I never really thought about it that way. It reminds me, there's this one particular classical piece from back in the day. I forget who exactly composed it, whether it was like Mozart or Beethoven, but they had like I think they were working with some sort of vocal student who had a ridiculously high soprano range, and they expressly wrote a song for that range. I don't know how well, I don't know how often that's performed now with like if they have to downtune it for any vocal singers, but like the notion of like composing a piece of music with an ideal challenge in mind, like it's interesting to me. Like what else? Sorry,
I would definitely say it probably happens more often than you think.
Oh yeah.
It's like I think it's less now about writing songs in a certain range to match.
Mm-hmm.
But what does happen often is a lot of people will produce a song and then go, oh, so and so would sound great on this.
Oh yeah.
Or X, Y, or Z, this fits their sort of vibe really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they send it off, either to a songwriter, or just if the artist does write their own songs, they just send it off to them. And then, so, and that's if you have because I know that happens often a lot in rap, is people will make 10, 15, maybe even 20 beats and just send all of them to a rapper and be like, pick one.
Oh wow.
So you just go through the list, and then they pick one, and then they go, okay, I'm gonna use this, and
there you go. It's a lot of flexibility in modern music, it seems like. I can't profess, to be always following the pop charts, but a lot of a lot of the producers that are around nowadays, it seems like it's really exciting. Like they've got a lot more talent for self-production, and that's really cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many people are just getting so good, and it's crazy. I think I'm sure it has something to do, right, with now there's also more musicians than ever, and just there's more selection as well, but also, I mean, just the selection is larger, and the quality has gotten so much higher.
Absolutely. Like, I say that, I don't really follow pop music, but regardless, I still have my own sort of, little batch of modern music that I keep an eye over. Like, I'm personally obsessed with, like, psychedelic rock music nowadays that's happening, like, especially stuff that's coming out of Australia. Like stuff like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Pond, Tame Impala, like that's my speed. Like catching up with like all of that, like all of the goings on in modern rock and roll. So like there's a bit of something for everyone in the world, I'd say. Whether you're a fan of rock or you like the more traditional, I guess, pop music of the of the charts, you just really need to know where to look for it.
Absolutely, it's like I one of the things that like always irks me is when people are like, "Oh, I was born in the wrong generation," or whatever.
Oh,
just
God.
because it's the only thing that has changed is that it's harder to find those things. The songs that were on the radio in the 80s are not on the radio anymore. So you just need to look for them. But there are definitely still bands and people and producers emulating their absolute favorites that they grew up listening to.
Yeah.
And they're putting their spin on it. And so, when you like look at all these evolutions of genres and what's been pop and everything, they don't go away. They just are presented to you less frequently.
Yeah, it's it changes with the style of the times, I guess. Whatever is pop in the 60s is guaranteed to be different from whatever's pop nowadays.
Oh, sure.
Let me see. So I guess to talk a bit more about, I guess, your process, like what's your process sort of like? How do you sort of compose music? What DAW do you use? Like what sort of plugins, etc.?
Sure. So I use a lot of so my main DAW is Ableton. I've been using that for probably about 4 years.
Okay.
Now. Before that, I was using I have a Machine Micro, which is like a sort of like an MPC, like drum pad.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so there was a DAW that they included with that. That's what I was using beforehand, and then I switched over to Ableton just to I guess match the industry standard a little bit, or one of the three. There's was it Ableton, FL Studios, and Pro Tools, GarageBand. I don't know. There's a couple more that you can use. Yeah. I mean, there's dozens of them. You could use Reason, you could use Reaper, which I know you said you used earlier, which that to me is insane, because if you can make your way through Reaper, that every other DAW is like a breeze.
Well, hopefully I'll find the motivation to dig into it, in depth someday. I really just use it to like, what is it? I record like my MIDI drums. I record, whatever vocals I have. I get a backing track from somewhere on YouTube, and I try to mix it all together best I can, and boom, there's the cover.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, there's a lot of tools available, especially now, where you can just find instrumentals of songs. basically pre-mixed for you, other than maybe some minute changes because of
Yeah.
I don't know, the range of your voice or whatever. There's a lot that's just readily available for people,
Like,
which is really
God
cool.
bless the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games. Without them, we would not have nearly as many, you know, X backing track available on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess kind of
There's
speaking of those, like, are you a rhythm game guy at all? Do you have any like formative rhythm games?
Oh, I used to play a lot of DDR.
Oh, nice.
I used to play a lot of Guitar Hero, Rock Band.
Very neat.
That was pretty much it. I mean, I think the last one, it's been a long time. I think the last one I played was like Rock Band 2. I played a little bit of the, was it Fortnite Festival when that came out? That was, it's honestly really good, and the selection of songs on there is actually kind of wild.
No, I'm sure. Like, it looks like, you know, basically just Rock Band from the past. I mean, it better be.
100%.
It's the same team making it, but but I don't know. The whole juggernaut of Fortnite has always been sort of foreign to me, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm not quite that zoomer.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say, if you're interested in rhythm games, try out the festival, because it's a completely separate game mode. But yeah, it's definitely.
I've heard really good things about like Clone Hero too, and I think there's another.
Yeah, Clone Hero is really good.
Yeah, there's another one for like. I think it's like yet another rhythm game, like Yarg. I think that's the Rock Band focused one. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I got off track, but
you're good.
To go back, so I use Ableton, and then for me, mostly the process is, because I use a lot of atmospheric stuff.
Oh yeah.
And pads. So it's either just making the pads, possibly finding the atmosphere, like, I don't know, somewhere on the internet or something.
Yeah.
Or even I've gone out and I've just, I have I don't know where it is at the moment, but it's it's like a external audio recorder, I guess, like a microphone basically you can bring with you, and you can just tape stuff, and I'll just like go out and record stuff.
Oh wow. So it's like you can like sample field recordings and stuff like
that.
that.
Yeah, it's a field recorder. That's exactly what it is.
Nice.
And that for me, I love that, because it's like, oh yeah, no, those are my sounds. Those are like you can never replicate them, and I've used them in songs prior.
Yeah.
They've like, just like, I don't know, sometimes I'll just go to the beach and just like record stuff. I'll throw rocks around and
it's that vibey stuff, you know.
Yeah, just
adds
like,
to the mise en scène, as they say.
It's something for me specifically, because I do it all digitally. It's something to still give it like a human element to it. So it's not all just like super programmed on key and everything. It still will help.
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel the same too with like whenever I do my drum covers. I always prefer to be as I try to record it as authentically as I can, do it as live as I can. If I gotta quantize and post and like move notes around, whatever, I'll do that in MIDI. But I just, you know, I don't know if it's because I feel sort of a shame in using electronic instruments, but I just love the authenticity that comes with playing something and like being able to translate human motion into electronic sound, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I wish I had more stuff available. So
I mean, I wish,
I had the big box analog synthesizers and
Oh yeah.
just everything, just because there's something really cool about it. So I do try to at least incorporate that somewhat
Mm-hmm.
in my own way. Often I just use it in like percussion, or maybe I'll sound design something and like make a sound and then pitch it up or down and make it a kick or a snare or something. But
Nice.
there's a lot of really interesting things you can do once you have a sound.
Yeah. No, I've I've noticed X number of meme songs on the internet of people taking random sound effects and making bangers out of it. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, to speak a bit more on your discography, I was listening to a bit of it actually last night, in preparation with all these questions and whatnot, and
Sure.
I really do dig your sound. You've got
Thank you.
you got some chill atmosphere, in a lot of places, but also you're not afraid to bump it here or there. I'm kind of wondering, you've been active for quite a long time. I think going back to 2019 is what I could see, like your earlier releases.
Yep.
How did you say you've evolved as an artist over time, if anything?
I guess think I've just been trying to.
Oh, good night, Jukebox Cowboy.
I've been probably just trying to find my own way of slotting into the subgenre of wave music that I make.
Okay.
Which so like a lot of the artists I sent you would be considered wave music, which is like
Yeah.
it's it's another thing that sort of popped up around the time vaporwave did.
Okay.
It's often like, I guess the best way to describe it would be like 90s trance.
Interesting.
But instead of, a very 4 on the floor beat, it mixes in elements of hip hop.
Yeah. I noticed
don't
it was
know.
like very sort of a repetitive sound with a lot of trap beats.
Yeah, and it uses a lot of I use a lot of re-spaces and sub basses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what specifically I found so interesting about it, but it was like, I don't know, it just like tickles my brain. I'm often tempted to call it like it's hip hop music for people that like trance. Like it's not hip hop music for people that like hip hop. It's hip hop for people that like trance music and house music.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just something about it is very like sonically pleasing to me.
It's very vibey.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that it's like, it's another thing that I often find myself, I don't know if it is to the general public, but I often think of it as just very easy listening. There's not like,
Yeah,
it's
no,
not super in your face, although it sometimes can be, but I don't know.
I definitely got that impression when I was listening around. Actually, sort of behind the scenes when I was prepping, I was actually making dinner at the same time, and it was very effective. It was very effective cooking music.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. I don't know. I always found it really, really interesting, and seeing even just how that genre in itself has progressed to people just getting better at sound design and everything.
Yeah, no, it's
comparison.
It's crazy how technology continues to evolve, and we continue to find new ways of like creating like various genres in electronic.
Yeah.
What was it? That whole bit crush thing that's been going on, just making things as like distorted and chaotic as possible. That's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that you can do And I think it's really cool because it's such a worldwide, like, readily available thing
Oh, neat.
that, I mean, you can just, like, you can make music digitally, anywhere in the world,
Absolutely.
and you'll hear the influences and everything, and I just
Mm-hmm.
think it's so cool to,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very connecting piece.
Yeah. There was like, what was it? JPEG Mafia, his newest album, there was like a beat
Yeah.
he had from like some Brazilian like funk artist. Oh my god,
Yep.
that shit worked so well.
Yeah. JPEG Mafia's beats are always crazy. I'm
Mhm.
forgetting the title of the one now, but it was one he just like sampled like a Japanese commercial from the 1980s. It's just like them like counting.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so well like chopped up. It's just, yeah, he has an incredible ear for
Yeah.
for beats.
Oh my god, yeah. I love like hip hop creators who are just like really good at putting together a sick, like well structured, not just, beat, but like a song to go with it too, I love that's why I love JPEG, I love Kendrick.
Yep.
I can't really say what other rappers out there. I don't know. Like I'm obviously more of a rock guy than like electronic music and rap, but I really do appreciate like when when rap artists go so hard with the possibilities of their genre, maximalize on the samples and reach across from all various genres and in history, like really bring a whole sort of, I don't know, they really put their all into it.
Yeah. I think it's part of why, like, because originally that's like where sampling came from. It was just like DJs, you know what I mean, just like using breaks or whatever. And
Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys.
Yep.
Fantastic fucking album. Fucking love it.
Yeah, it's why I think a lot of stuff like the beats, like on Beastie Boys and stuff like Linkin Park, where it's just so, it's like it's hard to put into an actual genre other than just saying like, oh, it's like alternative rock or alternative hip hop.
See, that's always been my, I guess, leaning whenever I've liked, whenever I've been into hip hop. Like alternative hip hop has really been my more my speed. I mean, I guess starting off I was more introed by Gangsta, but ever since I've sort of, I don't know, I've really gone back and listened to artists like I guess, what is it? Fuck, who are the guys that did Low End Theory? That was Tribe Called Quest. Right?
Tribe Called Quest. Yeah,
Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, like artists like those guys, super fucking creative. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I love because I try to watch like a lot of like behind the scenes stuff for like producers. And I love it when they're like, oh, this, like, I wasn't gonna send him this beat, because it's always like some of like just like the weirdest, craziest like beats. And you're like, why? Like, this is amazing. This is so good.
Yeah.
Like one, if you like JPEG Mafia, I mean, you may have even heard of it, but I'm sure you would love Danny Brown.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did that collab. Yeah.
He did Scaring the Hose music.
Yeah.
He's another really, really good artist from Detroit, and he's done just some absolutely incredible music. He's one of my favorite rappers.
Right on. Yeah, I'll have to check him out. Yeah, I really do dig a lot of that sort of alternative rap scene. Like, not to diss whatever's going on nowadays with trap or like I don't even know if trap's like the big thing or if it's drill or whatever's the new rap subgenre, but I don't know. It seems like we're at a point, at least with rap music, where it's like I don't know. I have this theory, this personal theory, where like every 50 or so years of a genre of music, like 50 years on from when a genre of music sort of gets popularized, it doesn't really have a lot of steam left in the tank. It starts to be, more regularly incorporated into the academy. It starts to be more regularly, I guess, integrated into the tapestry of, popular culture. And it's not fresh anymore. It's not like... It's not innovative. It's not to say that there aren't people still making kick-ass innovative rap music at all, but it's like... I feel like we're at a point now where the genre has become so saturated and it's become so, tied to the mainstream commercial institutions of the music industry that it's like, is there really a lot more, possibility for experimentation, for like a popular movement in hip hop? Who knows?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's really tough to say because, right, like there's always going to be people innovating within their respective genres. Even rock, which is now God, almost
like it's like it's in its 70s, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
so I mean, there's still people innovating rock, but yeah, it's probably just because it gets way more out of the mainstream. That it's like it's less there's less focus on the accomplishment of innovating.
Definitely.
And I think that hip hop is probably gonna reach that at some point. Again, that's not to say that there won't be new great hip hop artists, but I think it'll be less focused.
But God bless, like, I know like the SoundCloud rapper movement got a lot of a lot of flack back in the day, but that sort of movement, that sort of energy, like having the independent like creatives, hosting to their own platforms, that's the sort of stuff that pushes genres ahead, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was I think I think it got a lot of flack because it became harder to find like some of the really good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Again, because just anyone could do it, everyone could do it.
Makes sense.
So there's a lot more low effort. I don't even know if I would say low effort, but less
low energy.
Low energy, or there's a lot of stuff coming out that maybe isn't as fully fleshed out as it should have been. Or people are just trying to release as much as possible as quick as possible and just sort of flooding the market with what might not be their best material or whatever.
I guess that's what happens when you've got like a sort of algorithmic or musical or like whatever like gold rush going on, where like you've got like this extremely popular medium or thing going on, and like you've got all these people trying to capitalize on it, and a few will succeed, but very, very many others will sort of fall by the wayside.
But I do think it. I do agree with you. I do think it's an important moment though for the average person to have some sort of creative outlet, where they're able to release what is their experience in a genre.
feel like more bands need to stop worrying about finding the new sound and innovating and focusing on having fun, catchy songs. See, I would agree with that to an extent. My big worry is I feel like we're regressing more to like singles and like hits and all that stuff, like
Oh yeah,
focusing
absolutely.
on that more than like the musical experience. Like that's how
Yeah.
things were back in like the 50s and the early 60s, before we had a lot of those, big bands like Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd like putting out, full-length concept records. Like I don't feel like we get nearly enough like full works of music these days. It's more so like Jesus Christ. You see some of the albums that people are putting out that are like over an hour, like almost 2 hours, and it's just like a bunch of like, I mean, some of it are hits, but like a lot of it is just like sludge and filler content, and it's like I
Yeah.
feel like people need to put more thought into albums again.
I would agree. I don't know if it's an artist perspective or an audience perspective where they're like, oh, I need to get a single that can go viral on TikTok, or if it's the audience only caring about what's popular on TikTok. I really don't know, but I do agree
It's probably some blend of the two.
yeah, and I do think there does need to be some sort of, it can be very tough to tiptoe that line of making something fun and catchy while still innovating.
Yeah.
Because if you try to just do something fun and catchy all the time, I feel like it's going to be so mentally draining.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be hard. You know what I mean? It's not easy at all to create a fun and catchy song.
At the same time, though, like, I don't know, like, I'm sort of thinking back to, like, with, like, the introduction of punk and, like, other sorts of movements like that, where, like, people sort of go back in order to go forward, in a sense. Like, they sort of strip back their sounds and focus on, like, basics of, like, song structure and pop catchiness, and I think in a sense, like, you can go forward while still, like, focusing on the basics and fundamentals, but I guess it's just
100%.
it's just dependent on, like, the context of things.
Yeah, I
It's like
mean, if you have the fundamentals down, but you use a new sound or whatever, or do it, I don't know, in a different tempo or a different key or some combination of both. Yeah, absolutely. I would say that makes it, far easier. Not that making any of it is easy, but would, having your fundamentals down firsthand can help you create those innovative things in a way that is more sonically pleasing to the average person.
God, songwriting is such a fucking chore, though. I mean, just like,
oh yeah,
I'm talking more.
That's
like
why I don't do it.
Yeah, just like thinking more traditionally. I've only written like 2 good songs I want to say to my name. I've got far more of like rejected lyrics and failed chord patterns like on the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I could go through my all my song files, and there's just so many where it's just like an 8 count of like drums over chords. Just like this sucks. And I say so I don't delete anything because I'm like, okay, maybe one day I'll have inspiration and I'll go back and be able to do something with that. I still think that process of making something shitty is really important. Because I think that's how you get better at making good things. But But yeah,
Yeah.
it can be draining. It can be it
Yeah.
doesn't make it any less draining to, go on a
Yeah.
multi-day spree of like, oh my gosh, like I'm washed up.
Yeah. I will say, what helps me, I think I'm far more of a group songwriter than just strictly writing stuff by myself. Because, like, I'm in a few bands in the city, and I try to, I sketch my own ideas from time to time. I was far more consistent with it, back during the pandemic when I had less time and was not,
Yeah.
didn't have a job.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was, I was far more diligent about like demoing song ideas and GarageBand and all that. And what ideas I had, I'd then take to my band and like show them, hey, is this something? Maybe we could do something with this. Maybe you can add lyrics if you've got like a part you might want to throw in. We could do that. And I'd say we've, at least my bands have gotten a few good things out of that. So I'm happy to be a contributor, if not necessarily the the guiding captain.
I mean, I think that's so important though, because having those ideas down, you might not take the full idea, but there's a good chance that there is something worth using in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, no, actually, you just reminded me. One of those songs that was fashioned out of an idea I had. It was like I brought in this thing that was like 6 minutes, multiple different like sort of tempo changes, like very crazy sort of. Not. I don't know if crazy is the right word, but like very sort of scattered all over the place, metalish track. And what my frontman was able to do, he took like some of the most essential bits from that and sort of streamlined it into a more, I guess, cohesive song. And that's one of our better works. So I'm happy that we were able to. I'm happy that I was able to let my ego go and let them do something good with the pieces that I gave them.
Yeah. I mean, that can be a tough part, but I think that's a prime example of being a contributor can often lead to finding either someone who can steer it in the right direction, or just in general going in a direction based off of something.
Absolutely. I guess kind of going off of that, obviously your music career has been going for a long time, a longer time than VTuber has been popular in the West. And if you go on your profile, you will see a flesh tuber and not a virtual tuber. So
yes.
I'm kind of curious to know, how did your music career intersect with VTubing?
Oh god. Well, I started uploading songs probably about 10 years ago on SoundCloud. Just like making really awful beats during the SoundCloud rapper era. But for me, it was like, oh, that's like a really, I had been so focused on like trying to do EDM and stuff that
right.
I was like, okay, let's like strip back all the sound design and just like sample something and like throw drums over it. And so once I had done that for probably like 4 years. No, probably about I guess it was more like 6 years. Until like 2019, I guess that's 5 years. That was when I started working on my first album. And then from there, I don't remember how I found VTubers. It was probably Probably during COVID, probably just seeing some
Yeah.
clips. Same
One
story as, like 90% of the VTuber scene.
one of those things, yeah.
And then I remember just hearing, I remember hearing the first songs that Calliope Mori came out with.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Please Excuse Me, R.I.P., or I forget what it's called now.
Yeah.
And just like realizing, and I loved like VTubers completely separate from music. I thought it was just a really cool thing, but I didn't understand that it was something that like the average person had access to. Because I only seen like corporate VTubers. I was like, oh, they just have like this top secret software that like only the people in their company can use. I didn't understand it was like a thing that the average person could do.
Oh, yeah.
And then as I was like still releasing more of my music and simultaneously like keeping up with VTubers, I ended up finding more and more and more, and then finding all the Vocaloid covers, all the King covers, all the hundreds of that, and I was like, oh well, this would be a really good opportunity for me to like work on song structure and work with singers, because I also again noticed a lot of it was covers, a lot of it wasn't like original music, because that can be expensive, and if you're VTubing and singing and working a full-time job, like it can be hard to find producers or a band or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
To make a full original song. So I ended up just being like, well, I could probably make something that someone would be interested in.
There you go.
And so I sort of was like, okay, well, I'll just bring both of them together. Yeah, so if you do go on my Spotify, there's a picture of me, because I never got into VTubing. Me specifically, I never got into VTubing as a way to be more private,
right.
Or for privacy reasons. I just thought it was like a really cool technology and thought it was a really interesting way of streaming. To me, just because it's, I don't know, it's so interesting. Like, it's not something I ever would have of thought about doing, or how to how to connect the face cam tracking to a moving picture. I don't know, just
Absolutely.
There was something about the technology that was really, really interesting to me, and I think there's a lot of really cool things you can do in VTubing, whether it be assets or camera angles and ways you set things up and reactive things. There's so much to do. So
yeah, definitely. We'll come back to that line of inquiry, but we got a question in the chat from Vincent. How do you guys go about writing song lyrics? I write a lot of the music for my band, but when it comes to lyrics, it's pretty challenging. Whenever the two songs that I've written myself, right, with, chord forms and lyrics, whenever I've written anything, it has to come from my heart, because I find it, whenever I write about other experiences, it comes off as very stilted. At least if I try to force myself into like a rhyme scheme or anything traditionally like song written.
Me personally, I'm not a songwriter. I'm not. I'm not the person to ask, unfortunately. So the few songs that I have done with other VTubers,
you've left that up to them, or
we had hired a songwriter to help with it. So me personally, I don't know.
But hey, maybe outsourcing is a viable solution as well. So
I mean, yeah, it certainly is. It can get expensive if you want it well done. But yeah, I mean, if I had to give advice from an outside perspective, yeah, I would just say just write about things that you actually care about and want to talk about in your life experiences.
But don't be too brutally honest. That can be very awkward.
Yeah.
What else? Oh yeah, it's kind of circling back to, I guess, your collabs. Of the VTubers you've collabed with in your music, which would you say is your I don't know, favorite? Which do you have the most fun time with? I remember coming across that Hasumi song you did, I think, last night when I was listening. That was nice.
Yeah, though probably those. Although I also did one with Bajiru. That one was also really, I mean, it's tough to say because I've never had like a bad experience. Like they've all been super fun.
Oh yeah.
The one with Baji was really nice though because she's just super talented. She wrote the whole song herself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's incredible. I literally had just like made this. We were talking about breakcore and breakbeat and jungle and all those fun, 170 BPM genres, and I was like, here, I have been trying to make breakcore, and I sent her that, and she was like, oh, this is great, I would love to sing on this. And then she just wrote the song. So that was really cool to watch from not a singer / songwriter standpoint. Hasmi was also, I mean, again, everyone was super fun to work with.
Yeah.
Hasmi's was really fun because I was experimenting with taking like very traditional 90s house like piano and trying to do hip hop beats over it. Because that was something where I was like, oh, well, that actually works like really well and has a pretty cool vibe to it.
Oh yeah.
So the two that I did with Hasmi ended up being that. So that was a fun, because that was just me like experimenting, and I ended up just being like, oh, well, that worked out pretty well. The one with Lily Bell was also great. I love Lily Bell.
Yeah.
I'm so sad she's graduating, but yeah, I love Lily Bell. She's always a pleasure to work with, and I'm actually helping her right now. She's doing her solo rendition of Hamilton the musical.
Oh, wow!
Which I'm, yeah,
that's a lot of music to arrange. Is it the entire thing?
It is, yeah. So yeah, so very fortunately for both me and her, every single song on there is released with its original and as an instrumental. So that was very, very fortunate for me.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just doing the mixing on that.
That's good.
Other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. They've all been great to work with. I have no qualms with anyone I've worked with.
Yeah. Do you have any dream collabs that you'd like to do in the future?
Oh, yes. I would love to do something with Zentreya.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I would love to work with Zentreya because I know she's both a drummer, and after she did a cover of a song for Nikkei where she actually got her TTS to sing, and I thought that was fucking incredible. I loved that song. I would love to. I mean, I love all the V Shoujo girls, so like any of them.
Yeah.
Any of them. I think they're all so talented in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
I mean, Iron Mouse being classically trained is.
Oh my God, she is cracked.
it's so beautiful. Honestly, yeah. Any of the any of the ECKZOH girls, or doing something specifically. I know like Ghost Data did a lot of work with melody, and I would love to do like something with both of them, just because also I think Ghost Data has really cool sound design as well.
I will say I'm not as familiar with like the ECKZOH Challenge musical projects, though I do. From an outsider's perspective, it does seem like they're doing a lot more like original, fascinating stuff. From at least from my perspective. I don't know how accurate that is to say. Compared to the Japanese VTuber agencies.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm the total opposite. I have pretty much fallen off the face of the earth of like trying to keep up with like Hololive and Niji Sanji, just because there's so much going on. That in itself feels like its own like bubble in the VTuber community, where there are just people who just watch them. And
absolutely.
So, like, I don't know that, and I would love to do more stuff just with more indie musicians. Anyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because that was how I got in touch with Hazmi. That's how I got in touch with Lilybell, and that ended up just being I love those songs. And it's something so much more. It has such a deeper like emotional connection when they're like, oh, like I've wanted to make an original song like for so long, and to be able to be a part of that for me is. And to be able to showcase them on that level it's so cool.
I can imagine. That sounds incredible.
Even though it ends up, somewhat being a collaboration, because I'm also a VTuber, but for me it's always about showcasing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting to play a part in, I don't know, in a really important moment for them is just, it's awesome.
Yeah. When are you gonna drop in with a guest verse, though?
Oh, God. I would definitely have to take singing classes. I mean, that's something I would love to get more comfortable with. With doing things with my own voice. I would like to say sometime in the future, when however far in the future that means, I have no idea, but it is something I would love to do.
I guess I need to go probably to the bathroom and get some water.
Feel free.
I guess a question we can leave off with, or at least talk to the chat with. Vincent asks, what are some new rockish bands you find yourself listening to frequently? I already kind of talked about it earlier, but I'm very much into like modern psychedelic rock, like especially King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I've been following their latest tour pretty heavily, and oh my god, they're doing some crazy shit. Like I don't know how familiar you are with them. They're currently doing a lot of like electronic stuff in their set list, where they've got like this live like analog synth table going on at the same time that they're playing like live instruments, and it's crazy stuff.
I know of the band. I don't listen to them too much because I have a sibling who's very, very heavily into Fish. And that whole scene,
the jam bands.
So I'm aware of it, and I'll hear like some band names in passing, but it's not what I listen to, but I'll at least be somewhat aware of it.
Okay.
For me though, I would say, I think this is how you pronounce it. It's called Cafune.
Cafune.
Cafune. I think they're really cool.
Interesting. I don't think I've heard of these guys before. I'll have to check them out. Apparently they formed at New York University. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think they have a nice sound to them.
Oh, neat. Are you familiar with the band Crumb at all? I think
I am.
Oh, neat. Yeah, from the look of Kafune's genres, it looks like they're relatively in a similar range.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Is this the? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Crumb is also really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit more of my speed.
Yeah,
So I'd say, yeah.
I dig.
Crumb's really good. Kafune's really good.
Neat. I will be right back. I'm gonna use the
Yeah,
bathroom
feel free. I'll keep. Let me see. What else do we got?
Up the water. Okay.
What else can I recommend you? Yeah, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They're really cool. It's not 100% my speed, but I totally understand why people are super into it. Lose? Okay. I'm gonna go through my Spotify and see what else. I don't know if they really count as rock, but I guess also 100 Gex. 100 Gex is great. I guess they're more hyper pop, but considering they do a lot of stuff with guitar and such. I know I used to listen to like a lot of Tegan and Sarah. Tegan and Sarah are great. I'm trying to think of what I like used to listen to a lot of. I guess I listened to a lot more like indie rock when I did listen to it. I would say those are probably my 3 picks. Or I guess 2 picks if you don't want to count 100 Gex. Tegan and Sarah. And...
Alrighty, I've returned.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So, few days ago, I believe you were DJing for this VR stream. Is that right?
Yes.
How was that?
That was really cool. It was a new experience for me.
Oh yeah.
So I've done streams on, or I've done DJing on my streams a little bit in the past.
All right.
But that was my first time actually in VR doing it as well. And that was great. I loved it. I don't know, it gives me because I know a lot of like nightlife stuff has changed post COVID.
Yeah.
But it definitely gave me very like early vibes of like just, I don't know, either going to a club or going to like a small music venue and seeing a DJ and just being like, oh, this is fucking sweet.
Except
so I
you had
it.
except you had a bunch of anime characters dancing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really wild, but it's definitely something I want to do more frequently.
Yeah. Did you have like people coming up to you and like making requests, or was it all just your stuff?
No, so it was all my own stuff. I mean, I mixed some of my stuff into some other similar wave songs and such. So it wasn't entirely, you know, a live original set.
Right.
No, so it's not like the type of like where you would go up and request something. It was more like, okay, you have an hour, like go play your set, and then the next person goes, and then yeah. But it's cool because it's like being at a club without having to like actually like get dressed up and go to a club.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
It's cool because there's like always events happening, like every single week. There's like there's something going on, and I don't know. That's so cool.
And now, did you do this with your own VR headset, or like were you using like the desktop interface?
Yeah, so I don't actually own a VR headset.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing it all non-VR, which can look a little funky, because it's just like a person standing behind some DJ decks, but
right.
I think a VR headset's probably gonna be like my next big investment.
Yeah. I've been thinking, you know, my roommate, he has well, I don't know if it's his, or if it's like shared between him and somebody else in the apartment, but like he has this VR headset that he pretty regularly plays on like every night, and I you know, I'll come out and fill my water bottle, I'll see him out there, you know, doing his own VR thing. It'd be funky, you know, being able to dance and do like, you know, club stuff while essentially just in the confines of your own home.
Yeah, it's really a wild experience, but like, I don't know, I thought it was super cool because it's like you don't have to worry about any of like the dangers of like club life. You know, there's it's like you have all of your own drinks. You're able to like sort of do whatever you want. You don't really have to worry about like bumping into people or stuff. So it's like, I don't know, it's really really cool. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
And the people who set it up too are like so good. Like they're like, they set it up so that you know, if you bring your own visuals, they'll display that on all the screens.
Oh, very
they have
nice.
Like go-go dancers and stuff up there, and it's like it's crazy. Like they're so, and it's all people who like want to do it, you know. So it's
that's
like
cool. Yeah,
you don't have to really deal with like any of the bad or weird vibes of like a club owner. It's just like, oh yeah, sure, like here's all the people and stuff we have set up, like, yeah, feel free.
There you go. Yeah, like speaking of visuals, like do you have your own sort of visual thing that you do, or is it just sort of you up there?
Yeah, so I've posted on my Twitter a little bit of like my name spinning around. So I actually learned how to use Blender and made that in Blender. So right now that's what I'm doing, and then in the future I'm gonna try to make that more reactive.
Right. Yeah, Blender's something that I'd love to get into learning myself.
It's really cool. And it was actually this DJ set that made me learn Blender, because I was like, oh, I don't have visuals. Shit. I was like, well, because I have a program where it sort of has pre-made visuals that are sound reactive. And I was like, well, like that's really cool, but like it would also be really, really cool to have something, you know, personalized, something that like says my name. And that literally was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna learn Blender now then.
Yeah.
And that was literally it for me. Just like that one, like, oh shit, I kind of want to customize visuals. And it worked out great. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds incredible. Do you have you DJ'd before? Like, have you done like physical clubs and stuff?
Yep. So when I first started college, oh gosh,
Mm.
that was 10, 12 years ago.
Oh man. Yeah.
Um, that was still very much, I was very big into like dubstep and that whole scene, and I ended up meeting some friends who are like into other, there's someone who's into happy hardcore and
Oh,
everything.
neat.
And we ended up doing that. And I ended up doing that a couple times. So yeah, so I did manage to do it. I did manage to do it physical a couple times as well.
Mm. How does that feel to be like, the man in charge of the music and, like, obviously changing the flow and keeping things moving along? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of power that comes like with that. Is it like,
Yeah.
is it very nerve-wracking or?
It honestly it is. Even in VR where it was like people could just like literally just like close VR. It can make you very anxious. Because like if you like look up and nobody's dancing, it
Oh God.
sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks. And I've had that happen. I've had people just like I look up and like people are just like deadpan and you're just
Yeah.
like I gotta transition to something. But like it's also it's the best kind of anxiety because it's like it's so exciting to do. It's so fun. Because when you
Yeah.
do see people dancing, it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. You see,
Yeah,
that's
and
interesting to me because, like, I've had that experience too, obviously, where, I'm playing a, super hype show with one of my bands, I'll look up, in the middle of one of our songs, and I won't see, very many people moving or reacting or anything in a way that I would want, but, at least in our options, we have the ability to, like, intensify how we play, put more energy into our instruments or whatever. You're just
yeah,
up there naked with the with the
yeah,
laptop.
yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? I can play the song louder, but like, it's not gonna change the vibe of the song.
Yeah. Probably piss the venue off.
Yeah. So it can be like, it can be very daunting.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's so fun though. So like, the VR show I did, that was actually the first time also that I had played out original songs
Oh,
that I
nice.
had made. So that for me was like, that was what was super exciting as well too, because
Oh,
I did
okay.
get to look up and be like, oh, I made this and like people are enjoying it.
Yeah,
People in
yeah.
this like virtual club. Um, but I mean, it can be very daunting. Fortunately, there's also you have some breathing room as well too,
Mm, yeah.
because if people are showing up, they sort of know like what your vibe is going to be. I wouldn't go to a Skrillex show and then be upset he's not playing like trap music or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so in a sense, just like if you go see a band or whatever, you have a general gist of what the band is going to do.
Hmm.
But it does also allow for a bit more flexibility than that, because it's like, okay, people are not grooving to this.
Hmm.
You can transition into a new song or a new genre.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
so you actually have a little bit of wiggle room up there if one part is sort of a lull.
Hmm. Yeah, God, there's so much to consider there, and I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
you're mostly working with digital stuff. I can only imagine like how complex it'd be if you're actually incorporating like turntables and all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, so I do have a DJ controller.
Oh,
So
okay.
when I do it, I actually, I don't have like vinyl and I'm not scratching and all that.
Yeah.
I'm mostly just, playing out songs and doing transitions and
Oh, right.
but yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine what that would actually be like if you had like turntables.
Man.
And you're, actually up there scratching and people are just like deadpan looking at you like, what is this? But I don't know, it can be both the most nerve-wracking thing as well as like the most exciting because, again, you do have that wiggle room. You can you can switch genres and do other things up there.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, plus you're just sort of vibing in the zone. If nobody else is dancing to it, at least you are, right?
Exactly.
I have a lot of. I say a lot of, but it's more so it's just like I have good memories of like going on YouTube and seeing those old Daft Punk videos of them, playing on the Alive tour. That, seeing the two of them there in the middle of that fucking like pyramid thing, whatever it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally, like I will still go back and like watch that video, and I'm just like, this is the coolest fucking thing in the world. This is the coolest fucking thing in the world. Like and it's like every part of it, like the music matches the set so well, which matches like the masks. And it's just like, oh
yeah, it's just it stuns me that they only they only really did like two sort of live tour, or at least they did live stuff like back in the 90s, and then they did that tour in the 2000s, and that's it. Like they've never really played out their music.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's wild. Although I do also understand it because I think they were also doing a lot of analog stuff.
Yeah.
And so you have to think they have to bring all of those machines and that set to every single location, and that just sounds like a fucking nightmare. Because like if one thing breaks, it's like the show just looks wonky.
And fucking random access memories, they would have had a tour with like a disco band or something.
Yeah. And they've been so all over the place, and then doing the Tron soundtrack, and it's just
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that really was like the perfect time for them to do it. It sucks that they didn't do more, but
what we do have is probably one of the most. I mean, far be it for me to say most revolutionary electronic music album when I haven't even listened to half the damn genre, but like, it's a classic. It's an all-time classic.
It was, and I mean, I would say so because I mean now you can go and look up French house, and it's all just the most Daft Punk inspired house music you've ever heard in your life. Like to the point where they literally had to differentiate because they were French. This is what French house sounds like. It sounds like Daft Punk.
Well, it's either Daft Punk or Justice, right? It's either one of those two.
Yeah. I mean, they really like revolutionized that whole sound, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I got to see him live, but 2001 I was 11. No, 11. So it's like.
Speaking of though, do you have any like standout concert experiences? Either playing yourself or like going to.
I mean, playing myself, because it's only been a handful of times, I can recount them all.
Yeah.
I love them all. I love being able to. I love that experience of being able to be that guy up there that gets to control the music and gets to see people's reactions and stuff. So I personally love it. For going to concerts, there are a couple. All for different reasons. So the first concert I ever went to was actually Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, nice.
Because my sister really wanted to go. She was probably a sophomore, a junior, maybe even a senior in high school.
Right.
So I was still pretty young. I was probably like 13 or 14, but I don't know, just getting to see like a live band for the first time was absolutely incredible. That
Oh
was
yeah.
really interesting. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of Dave Matthews Band, I mean, just the having the I guess tens of people, on stage with them to perform songs
Yeah.
and stuff was really cool experience.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
it's cool to see that stuff.
yeah, and then another one I got to see. This one's more sentimental now than it was actually at the time, but I got to see Mac Miller
Nice.
perform before he passed. That was again that's sentimental because he passed, but that was also amazing.
That's a golden grail.
Yeah. And then I also did end up getting to see Skrillex.
Oh, nice.
Right when it's really funny. So I got to see him right when Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites was blowing up.
Wow.
And actually, one of the people that opened up for him was Porter Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
When he was doing his EDM thing. So I actually did technically get to see Porter Robinson and Skrillex at the same show in this very super small show, and it's so funny now to like think back, because this was probably 2011, 2012, and now I don't think they could go anywhere near that club with the number of people that they pull to their shows. But that was amazing. That's another one that I like look back on now and I'm like, that's a crazy lineup. Porter Robinson opening up for Skrillex, like
in such a small
Skrillex
venue,
popularity. Oh yeah, there was probably 300 to 400 person max at this venue.
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say now they could go nowhere near that club.
Oh my god, yeah. No, I kind of have a similar experience with King Gizzard because I got into them like roughly around like the end of 2017. That was like right when they finished releasing like 5 fucking albums in a single year, and I was very hyped and on board for them. And I remember going to see them. Like they did an entire year where they didn't release any albums, they just toured. And I remember going to see them. I think it was like this one small venue, like Union Transfer in Philadelphia or something like that. And it was fucking nuts. Like, oh my god, the energy in that crowd. I was like right up there on the rail, so like there were a bunch of moshes going on. There was It was chaotic. They brought that house down. Nowadays, like you couldn't. They could definitely fucking fill that venue and then some. Like they're fucking they're a fucking stadium ready band at this point with how the fan base has grown. And I really do cherish that, like that memory of getting to see them in some sort of a. I mean, I guess you could say like 2,000 seats less is small or what have you, but I guess it's all relative.
Yeah, but I mean, in places like that, it's also so much more of like an emotional like connection to the artist. You know what I mean? Because you're in such close proximity to them. It was the same thing in Skrillex. I could have literally like reached up and grabbed his hand, like to be that close. And now it's just like you see him, and it's just like he's playing these arenas, and same with Porter Robinson. It's just like fucking. it's just crazy to see how they've grown.
Yeah. What has Skrillex been doing? Like I haven't paid attention to him at all, like since like when dubstep was a big thing. And next thing I know, I see like this picture of him like with a beard and like this very short crew cut sort of this hair. It's like, what the fuck?
it's wild. Yeah, so he was so I went to Off Kai.
Oh, nice.
Which was, when was that? That was around June, because him and another DJ, Fred again, ended up they were like, hey, we're gonna play in, because it was in San Francisco. They were like, hey, we're gonna play in San Francisco this same weekend, and it ended up being like a 25,000 person show.
Oh my god!
Where they had to like they had like to have cops come out and like direct traffic and everything. So he's still going, still
That's
doing
nuts.
his thing. Yeah, I think he just released an album, I guess earlier this year or maybe late last year. So he's still doing his thing, but
right on.
It's been wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. That was off, Kai. I really do wish that we had like a fucking VTuber convention on the East Coast.
On the East Coast, yeah, same.
Because I feel like I miss out so much with that sort of thing.
I mean, so I'm from New York.
Oh, nice. Actually, same.
So I'm
not from New York. I actually moved up here. Want to say 5 years ago, but to do grad school. But I've lived here since. I love it.
yeah, it's great. I mean, Off-Kai is great. I think in the future of Off-Kai, they're gonna have to probably change what venue they're at, which kind of sucks because having a hotel and venue in the same area just made it so easy for like nightlife stuff as well too. Because it's like, okay, cool, the con closes at 6. Everyone just meets in the lobby or in the atrium there, and we all just kind of hang out.
Yeah.
But so I went to TwitchCon the years prior, and then this year I picked Off-Kai because again, flying East Coast to West Coast is just so expensive and like so much time out.
Yeah.
So I do it about like once a year, but I love it. I think, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's also, I love like West Coast weather. I'm not huge on New York weather.
Yeah.
I love New York, but the winters get a little too much for me.
No, I feel that.
But I love it. Off-Kai was great. It was a little cramped, which is why I think they're gonna have to change the venue. Just because I don't think they expected the growth from the previous year, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It means that a strictly VTuber centered anime convention.
There's demand for it.
Yeah, there's demand for it, and it's drawing crowds larger than they thought, which is good on paper. Actually experiencing it kind of sucked just because it was just like really hard to move around, and it was like hard to, but it's like typical con stuff in a sense. It's never like you have the most room and all the cool stuff is there. It's like either the convention is small or it's elbow to elbow, but it was great. I loved it. It's always good to be able to see all my friends that live on the West Coast and all around the United States. So
I will say it was very fun. I went like a few weeks ago to I was only for a day. I went to Anime New York City. They had a
nice.
They had this HoloLive booth set up, and it was really neat getting to see like the events there. Like it was like probably the first time I'd actually seen like HoloLive or like dedicated VTuber fans in person in like a real event. So it was really neat seeing like the community there getting to bond over their Oshis and whatnot. Oh my god, like the karaoke gathering for Elizabeth Rose Bloodflame that weekend was nuts. They were going wild.
Yeah, it's really cool to see in person all the because I'm often just friends with other streamers,
right?
But to see people who are dedicated just like viewers is so cool.
Yeah, like I hope that I can get to a position as a VTuber someday where I have some sort of community like that. It doesn't need to be like a massive like Stan fan base or whatever, or anything like
Mhm.
the Hololive or Niji Sanji people experience. I just want a community, man. That's all I've ever really wanted going into this.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same for me, because I don't know, there's just something so welcoming and so cool about just like being able to have a community where they have shared interests, and maybe then they'll have other varying interests, and I don't know, it's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
I love seeing communities, and I love seeing streamers grow and their communities grow and become more solidified. I think
absolutely.
it's great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Well, I don't seem to have that many more questions left here. Do you have anything? I don't know, anything you
Um
wanted to talk about?
oh god, any closing notes? Um no, just please keep, supporting uh all your favorite VTubers and streamers and everything while we still have them.
Hell yeah. You know,
Cuz
that's a
yeah.
valuable message all the time. Oh my god. The amount of
Yeah.
graduations we've been seeing recently is insane.
Yeah, it's about that time. It's end of summertime. People are either just winding down, or they're starting school up, or they're getting new jobs, or they're
Yeah.
making it into corporations or whatever it may be. It
Average
happens
lifespan of
about
a VTuber is that of a gerbil.
yeah, that and
Or
I
hamster. I forget which one.
yeah. and it's the time of year. It's
Mhm.
always summer, end of summer. You'll see people come and go.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, support all your favorites. Don't be afraid to watch people who are bigger or smaller. And thank you everyone for the support. Thank you,
Hell yeah.
Resi, for having me on here. I super appreciate it. It was super
Thank
cool to
you.
talk
Yeah,
about just music
absolutely.
stuff on here. And
Yeah, it was a
I guess
lot of
that's it.
fun,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you?
Oh yes, so people can find me on Twitter, Spotify, YouTube.
Let me see.
That's pretty much it. If you search my name, I'm the only one with this name.
Sweet.
So it'll be me. It's me. It's me. If you search up my name on any of the platforms, I do think I have a Blue Sky, although I don't really use it, but I'm probably going to start using it more.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I gotta do that too. I mean, God
but yeah,
knows with how.
if you search me up, that'll be
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Okay, let me see. Is there anyone I can redirect to here? Don't look it. I think we're good to just end the stream here then, I think.
Right,
Alrighty.
cool.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I don't know exactly, at the moment. I think I have a guest lineup for next week, but I'll let y'all know when the next Music Talk stream is. Of course, stay tuned to the community tab on my YouTube. Stay tuned to my stay tuned to my Twitter and Blue Sky. All the usual channels, and I will keep at it on the glam metal video. Hopefully, I'll be posting more news about that very soon. Until then, thank y'all so much for today, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.